Ian King Live, an hour of business and economic news from the heart of the city. Now, Facebook and its spin-off apps, WhatsApp and Instagram, are back online, but not before they took a huge financial hit. The near 6-hour outage for the businesses saw almost £35 billion wiped from Facebook's stock market valuation. Well, the outage impacted 3 of the company's core products, social networks, Facebook and Instagram, as well as the messaging service WhatsApp, of which there are an estimated 3 billion combined users. The website monitoring service Down Detector said it was the largest such failure it had ever seen, with 10.6 million problem reports globally. And with Facebook shares falling by almost 5% on Monday, the company was hit by a £34.8 billion loss in stock market value. That's nearly $50 billion US. Well, joining me now to talk about this is Shona Ghosh. She's the UK tech editor at Business Insider. Shona, very good morning to you. Now, Facebook blamed what was called a faulty configuration change for this. What does that mean in plain English?
Great question. I have a slightly tortured map metaphor I can roll out at this point because it is complicated and relies on technologies that we don't normally talk about in an everyday fashion. But if you imagine that your computer via your service provider navigates to various websites like Facebook, like Google, using a map. And this map is continuously updating and it tells your computer, this is where you find Facebook, this is where you find Google. And as in the real world, this map relies on GPS coordinates, but most of us can't remember a long string of numbers. And so we use terms like facebook.com, google.com to kind of represent these GPS coordinates. So imagine that it's sort of up to Facebook to keep telling you on this map how you find it, how you navigate to it. At some point, and this is the configuration error that Facebook's referring to, Facebook pushed an update somewhere in its infrastructure and it effectively deleted its location from the map. It didn't delete Facebook itself, it just deleted its location. Facebook and all these other services were very much still there. It's just that no one could find them because there was no map, to extend this metaphor. And also Facebook runs on all its own systems, and so this caused lots of problems internally at Facebook as well, because none of its own apps could find Facebook either. They had also all kind of seen Facebook's location disappear from this map. So that's effectively what happened. There was no way for your computer, your devices to navigate to Facebook using this online map, and that's why it disappeared.
Right, well, thanks for making sense of that. It is quite complex, as you say. Now, I mean, all this, of course, comes at a time when Facebook is reeling from this big expose in the Wall Street Journal, all of which was brought to it by a whistleblower who's in front of US Senate today.
Yes, it's pretty unfortunate timing for Facebook. There are some conspiracy theories that Facebook did this intentionally as a distraction. I don't think there's much evidence for that, and if anything, Facebook will be trying not to draw further attention to themselves and questions of antitrust. And as a side note, sort of something that this demonstrated is the difficulties of one company owning lots of infrastructure and services that we all rely on. If, for example, WhatsApp and Instagram had not been acquired by Facebook, they probably wouldn't have suffered these outages. So if anything, this continues to reflect very badly for Facebook. As you say, it will be facing slightly separate questions about the potential harms its products do. A lot of the focus has been on Instagram and the potential harm for teenage girls, and Facebook's own research finding that it does sort of cause issues of self-esteem among teenage girls. So I think this will be a very difficult 48 hours for Facebook.
Shona, how much danger do you think Facebook is in of being broken up here?
It's a conversation we've been having for a very, very long time, and the issue is simply how to go about it. I think increasingly the appetite is clearly there. There's been lots of saber rattling from lawmakers like AOC in the US and in Europe as well. There's lots of discussion about breaking services up. The question is how easy that is in reality to happen. So the conversation has never been more advanced, I would say. Whether it's actually going to happen at a technical level, I think is more difficult to say. But certainly the outage, as I say, will have done Facebook no favors in really demonstrating to lawmakers actually how wrong it can go when one company owns lots of services. So that will be a real blow. So I'm not saying imminent danger, but the fact that lawmakers continually harp on about it and are finding ways to demonstrate what a powerful entity Facebook and Google and other tech companies are is obviously not a good sign for the company.
All right, Shona, it's always good to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining me today.